Look, there's an awful lot to say about this, and none of it, unfortunately, is good. And I'm sorry that we have to start out with such a downbeat, dark story on a Sunday morning here. But the thing is, too, we cannot ignore the fact that the political context of this is one in which we have a government here which has uniquely been supine in the face of anti-Semitism. Sure, Anthony Albanese will sometimes talk a strong game about this, but then he always moderates it by, and also Islamophobia, and also this, and also that, and tries to have a bet each way. And we know why he is doing this. Number one, because, of course, he's got all these Greens and, hard left people within his own party who are dragging him to the left. Number two, because there are multicultural constituencies that he needs to keep on side, because otherwise they'll desert him for independent candidates in the next election, and he can't afford to lose any of them. And the third thing is that there is this general sort of attitude out there that somehow everything Israel does is wrong, and because it kind of is this confluence of three sort of terrible sort of streams of thought, classic anti-Semitism, classic anti-Westernism, and of course, the glorification of every sort of third world revolutionary movement. This is three historical forces all confluate on Israel here, and this is why we have this situation where absolutely nothing Israel done is ever acceptable, and everything they do is a target. And he needs to say, no. He needs to do like what Joe Biden did. Even Joe Biden was smart enough in the U.S. to say that when the criminal court put out that warrant for Netanyahu's arrest, they said, no, that's ridiculous. Absolutely no way. Albanese, well, I'm not going to comment on that.
No, that was absurd.
It's that sort of outrageous,
disgusting,
two-sided game that he's trying to play. And it looks weak. And you know what it says? Remember the other day when Albanese was at that rally for women's rights and domestic violence, and he said, well, I'm the prime minister. And everybody made the comment. They said, well, prime minister, if you have to remind people that you're in charge, you're not. And all of this is reminding people, the ICC, this incident, other things are reminding people that actually he's not in the driver's seat anymore. It's these hard left groups, it's the Greens, it's Muslim radical preachers.
I tend to disagree on one point because I think his personal politics lines up to this. He's been a member of the socialist left faction all his political life. He's been bragging about fighting Tories as a man in his 50s. This is a student activist who's now sitting in the lodge. And that false equivalency, that nonsense about both sides, he can never just condemn anti-Semitism. He has to bring in Islamophobia, even if there's none apparent. It's apparent in the response to the ICC. It's precisely what the ICC has done by charging 3 Hamas leaders as well as Netanyahu and the defence minister. They're saying, well, they're all sort of the same. They're all similar criminals in the eyes of the ICC. They've all got arrest warrants. And for the Prime Minister to decline to condemn that unequivocally, for the Foreign Minister to seemingly approve of it with a statement through DFAT, which DFAT released a statement talking about the independence of the ICC and how they support the What are they thinking? Even Joe Biden, with his cognitive decline, with the completely bewildered state he's in 90% of the time, even his administration had the good sense to come out and immediately condemn it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's the failure of leadership in this country, the failure of Labor leadership. As Rita says, while you had Albanese wandering around saying, I can't possibly comment, as I'll be detailing later in Clown Show, appropriately. Penny Wong was rushing out there saying, no, we've got to listen to the ICC, or words to that effect. Utterly disgraceful.